Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. First of all, I hope all of you are doing well, keeping yourself safe and also sane at the same time. Again, sorry for repeating this mantra all the time. Um, Anyway, last week we looked at a few subtopics under the broad general topic of the thematic construct of the Quran, in which we looked at the major theme of the Quran, which was Tawheed, which was the unity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we also looked at the afterlife and the concept of accountability, yeah, which is also an important theme which occurs frequently in the Quran, in which human beings are accountable for their actions, yeah, in this life, and that in the hereafter people will be rewarded or punished on that basis. And we also looked at the ethical legal teachings in the Quran, yeah, and then we looked at the various categories of ethical legal teachings in the Quran based on its applicability. So today, inshallah, we shall move on to the two remaining subtopics, yeah, under this broad topic of the thematic construct of the Quran, which is the scientific wisdom or ijaz of the Quran, and also the Quran and man's spiritual journey. So these are the two subtopics which I shall cover, inshallah, in the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. So let me share the slides with you. Okay. So we are going to look at scientific wisdom in the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in this verse in Surah Ali Imran, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Yeah? There truly are signs in the creation of the heavens and earth and in the alternation of night and day for those with understanding. So these are ayat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes, yeah, the creation of the heavens, the creation of the earth, and also the alternation of night and day as ayat, as signs. Yeah, so that is why scholars would propose that when it comes to ayat, when it comes to signs, this includes verses of the Quran, yeah, because they are also known as ayat, yeah. So these are ayat al-Quraniyah, and then we have ayat signs which are known as ayat al-kawniyah, which is basically the creation. And for Muslims, it is important for us to read these two ayat, or these two categories of ayat, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes, yeah, those who ponder upon the creation of the earth, the creation of the heavens, yeah, the alternation of night and day, as those with understanding. So the Quran invites its readers to reflect on various aspects of the three manifest realms from which it draws most of its arguments. So we have the cosmos, the afaq, yeah, and then we have the self, the nafs, and also history or athar. So these are the three dimensions or the three aspects in which the Quran draws most of its arguments from, and also the Quran invites, yeah, one to ponder, one to reflect, yeah, on these various aspects, yeah, that which is related to oneself, yeah, our nafs, that which is related to the creation, the afaq, the cosmos, and that which is related to history, yani stories about the nations of the past, historical narratives that we find in the Quran. There are many references to that. So various elements of the first realm and in the cosmos are described in the Quran in their dual role as discernible physical entities regulated through divine laws, yeah, often misnamed as laws of nature. We normally refer to them as sunnatullah, yeah, the way in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has determined for these physical entities to function or to operate, which we perhaps could term as sunnatullah instead of rather than the laws of nature, yeah, and as signs or symbols, ayat, pointing beyond themselves, yeah. So beyond these physical entities, yeah, they are also uh, to serve as signs, yeah, signs in which one would then acknowledge that there is the creator, that there is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created all these physical entities, who created the cosmos. Yeah. So eventually our exploration of the cosmos, of the afaq, of all these physical entities that exist, would then make us realize, yeah, and acknowledge the fact that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has created all these physical entities. So these signs are presented as material for reflection for those who have hearts to reflect. So, placed within the broader thematic structure of the Quran, references to nature have traditionally been understood as integrally linked to its overall message. So, it's not just about, yeah, pointing out that there are indeed these physical entities, the cosmos, the heavens, the earth, the alternation of night and day, trees, etc., which the Quran refer to. It is not just about that, yeah, but it is linked to its overall message, linked to the Quran's overall message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is indeed the one worthy of worship. So it comes back to the central theme of Tawheed, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the originator or the creator of all these things. So these signs were considered worthy of deep reflection, and it was understood also that one cannot fathom the mysteries of these signs without understanding their scientific content in the traditional sense. Yeah. So indeed, all these physical entities which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created is worthy of deep reflection. Yeah. And we cannot unravel the mysteries, yeah, of these entities unless we embark on scientific discovery of such entities. Yeah. So this scientific pursuit to understand uh, how these entities operates and the nature of it would then provide us with more points for reflection. So these sign verses therefore remain a central focus of scientific activity in Islam, and generations of scientists and commentators of the Quran wrote on their significance. Yeah. So then many Muslim scholars emerged who studied, yeah, these physical entities. That is why when we look at the golden ages of Islam, we find that many Muslim scientists explored, yeah, various realms of science, be it physics, be it astronomy, etc. And this was done. Why? Because they reflected upon the signs which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran. And this, in fact, provided them with the impetus or the motivation to explore what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. As for scientific ijaz, yeah, so even prior to the rise of modern science and its impact on the Muslim world, there were some scholars who did not approve of any overt reading of science in the Quran. Yeah, having said that, we must take this point into consideration. Yeah, in which there were even scholars in the past. Yeah, before there were even serious efforts to perhaps link certain scientific theories or certain scientific facts with Quranic verses. They did not approve of such, yeah, because they argued that the Quran was not a book of science per se. Yeah, so the Quran might make certain references to nature or to perhaps certain scientific facts or theories, but as a whole, the Quran is in fact a book of guidance. Yeah. So Ash-Shatibi, for example, argued that the Quran was not sent down as a compendium of medicine, astronomy, geometry, chemistry, necromancy, but as a book of guidance for leading humanity out of darkness and into light. Yeah. So attempts to read modern science in the Quran are quite different from what was indicated by traditional scholars such as Al-Ghazali. So this is basically arguing that, today's effort or attempts to read modern science in the Quran is quite different from that which was understood in the past, yeah, by scholars such as Al-Ghazali. The principles of the sciences which we have enumerated, as well as those which have not, are not outside the Quran. For all of these sciences are derived from one of the seas of the knowledge of God. May Allah be exalted, that is the sea of His actions. And this is what Al Ghazali mentions in Jawahir al Quran. Yeah, meaning that all scientific knowledge, yeah, the source would be one of the seas of the knowledge, yeah, of God's actions. And by these actions we mean His action of creation, yeah. So indeed, finally or ultimately, the source would be from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. Nonetheless, attempts at finding modern science in the Quran or proving the veracity of the Quran by way of modern science, we can argue, is fundamentally flawed. Why? Because they suffer from a conceptual confusion produced by various forms of scientism. Because with scientism itself, yeah, the worldview upon which it was developed, there are problems with it. Yeah, and oftentimes when we try to relate certain scientific facts or scientific discoveries or scientific theories, especially in the modern sense, yeah, with Quranic verses, in doing so, there is this tendency to dissociate and decontextualize, yeah, the Quranic vocabulary and concepts in order to graft modern scientific theories onto the book. Yeah, so sometimes we impose the meaning, or we impose certain scientific theories, scientific facts, yeah, uh, scientific discoveries on the meaning of Quranic verses, yeah. But then again, we have to realize that when it comes to scientific discoveries, theories, that these theories might even change or evolve. So then what happens with the initial, imposition of certain scientific theories when it comes to certain Quranic verses? Uh, for example, the theory of the Big Bang, which is related to one of the verses in the Quran, yeah. But then now people are starting to question the Big Bang theory itself, yeah. But because we have already, or because some Muslim scholars have already imposed, yeah, that that verse actually points to the Big Bang theory. But with the progress in science, which then questions this Big Bang theory, what happens to that, link that have been made between that Quranic verse and the theory? So this is where the danger lies when we try to what do you call it, impose, yeah, certain scientific theories or facts or discoveries onto Quranic verses. So now let's just move on to another, or the next subtopic, which is the Quran and man's spiritual journey. And this is also very important, considering the fact that we as human beings, yeah, we all know that we have the physical dimension, yeah, our physical body. We have our emotional dimension, yeah, and also our spiritual dimension as well. Uh, and let's look at how, the Quran plays an important role in our, or in human beings spiritual journey. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Shams, yeah, ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها, by the soul and how he formed it, yeah, ونفس وما سواها, and inspired it to know its own rebellion and piety. قد أفلح من زكاها, the one who purifies his soul succeeds. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly mentions, yeah, that he is the one who formed or created the soul, yeah, and that is part and parcel of human beings, yeah, and that Allah also inspired the soul. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that those who are successful are the ones who would purify their souls, yeah. And indeed, we as human beings are on a spiritual journey, on the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. And during every cycle of our daily salat, we recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Yeah. And after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yeah, and declaring that we are in need of Allah Jalla wa ala, yeah, the surah, yani Surah Al-Fatiha, voices the heart of the religious quest whereby we seek or we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the straight path. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. Yeah. And in seeking Allah's guidance to the straight path, yeah, we are also seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance to purify our souls, yeah, tazkiyatun nafs, through eliminating blameworthy character or traits, yeah, akhlaq dhamima, and also by or also through acquiring praiseworthy characters or character traits or ahlak hamida. And this is mentioned many times in the Quran, yeah. That which is madhmuma, yeah, that which is blameworthy, and that which is that which are mahmuda, that which is or that which are praiseworthy, are often mentioned in the Quran, yeah. And the quest for acquiring, yeah, that which is praiseworthy, yeah, and suppressing or eliminating that which is blameworthy is what you call it, is part and parcel of our journey in purifying our soul, yeah. So all those who want to purify their souls must follow the straight path, ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, yeah. They must follow the straight path in which often, or in which repeatedly we seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us, yeah, or we seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance, yeah, for us to tread this path. And according to Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, the keys to the life of the heart lie in reflecting upon the Quran, being humble before Allah in secret, and living sins. So here, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah stresses upon the importance of the reflection of the Quran uh, in one's journey or in one's pursuit to purify one's soul, yeah. Because here Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah mentions that the keys to the life of the heart lie in reflecting upon the Quran. And there are many hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam which points towards this fact, yeah, in which the Quran is indeed a source of solace, for example, yeah. And indeed uh, the Quran is that which enlivens one's heart, yeah. And then there are many descriptions, yeah, in Hadith of Prophet Sallallahu, for example, mentioning that a house in which the Quran is not recited is like a graveyard, yeah. So again, that points to the fact that the Quran is important, yeah, in one's spiritual journey. Even just the recitation of the Quran, yeah, in a melodious voice would perhaps provide even therapy for some, yeah, to bring calmness, to bring peace to their soul, yeah. And what more if one goes beyond that, yeah, beyond recitation to reflecting upon the verses of the Quran itself. So again, these were the books which I used in preparation for the slides for this topic. Yeah. So as I mentioned just now, these subtopics, I would present these subtopics in 20 to 30 minutes, and I think I've done so in 20 minutes, yeah. And perhaps we can discuss this further, inshallah, in our virtual meeting on Wednesday morning, inshallah, yeah, in which we shall look at, we can discuss further about the scientific wisdom or ijaz al-ilmi, as it is being called or being termed, or I mean that is the term which is being used, yeah, ijaz al-ilmi, and also the Quran and man's spiritual journey. So perhaps if you can gather some examples, yeah, of some of the issues that uh, that uh, that you might want to raise in relation to these two subtopics, please don't hesitate to do so, and we will, inshallah, discuss this in our meeting on Wednesday, بإذن الله تعالى. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Again, please stay safe, stay sane, take care of yourselves till we meet again, inshallah.